I want to, on behalf of the rural independents and myself, wish a speedy recovery to talk to Mattie McGrath. Taoiseach, I want to challenge you about abolishing the USC. It is worth remembering, Taoiseach, that at the height of the Celtic Tiger era in 2006, Exchequer was awash with property-based tax receipts, and then when the government reported a budget surplus of 5.1 billion. We have stories today of figures that might reach 22.5 billion, by 2024 and 2025. Sadly, there is little trust in your government's ability to make wise decisions regarding the substantial funds. It is highly likely that these record tax receipts would be squandered. Therefore, it is time that individuals have made such efforts in this country, individuals up and down the country, that we consider abolishing the USC. I can remind you of a time when you, at Fine Gael manifesto, boldly said, we're going to abolish USCE. That's not today nor yesterday, and you reneged on that promise totally. So, Taoiseach, it's time that, as I said, that was prior to the 2016 general election. It is time for you to abolish this inherently unfair, as it is imposed on persons' total income, without many of the exemptions that are available to income tax. It's inherently unfair tax. Everybody knows that. The rates range from less than 2% for income up to 23,000 to 4.5% for income up to between 23 and 70,000, and 8% on income up to income above 70,000. For instance, a constituent in Tipperary earning 50,000 a year will pay 1,497 in 2023. And a self-employed constituent again, a self-employed an income of 100,000 will pay 4,795 universal social charge in 2023. Today I am calling on you, Taoiseach, to honour your previous commitments and promises and utilise the record Exchequer tax revenues to provide ordinary workers with the relief by abolishing this USC. They deserve this. They have put their shoulder to the wheel. We see them today outside, daily childcare workers. We see them people last year from nursing homes. Across the whole society, people are struggling. We saw your government introduce little incentives to help them with their costs of energy. They really need a break from this punitive tax that was meant to be a temporary measure. And that was promised by you in the blaze of glory to be abolished in before your 2016 election. It's time to honour your promises. Or do election promises mean anything? I think the public are well aware of this now, and they see. So I'm challenging you, Taoiseach, and your Minister for Public Expenditure, and indeed the Finance Minister and your coalition partners, to get rid of this punitive tax. People are dizzy for listening to all the figures of windfall tax from corporations, etc. So now, look after Nadine Nibioga. Look after the ordinary people in this country who carry the can and are sick and tired of scandals such as the one this hurricane brought across our public service today. Many, many good people work in RT and across the public service and all walks of life. And they're tired of your promises. They're tired of your empty rhetoric, tired of listening to all this massive windfalls, and they still struggle. Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy. I appreciate the fact that people in Ireland pay a lot of tax, whether it's income tax, whether it's USC, whether it's PRSI. And we have, in the last number of budgets over the last number of years, reduced the burden of taxation on people. In some budgets we reduced the USC, in other budgets we've reduced income tax. And we intend to do that in the forthcoming budget in October. There will be a package, and the exact composition of that package is yet to be determined, but it will mean reductions in the amount of tax that people have to pay, and that's an important commitment that this government made that we will honour, specifically in the programme for government, saying that we will index tax credits and tax bans so that when people get a pay rise, they don't see half of that lost in income tax, USC and PRSI. And that's the commitment we've made in the programme for government, and one that we'll honour in the forthcoming budget. But, Deputy, it's not the intention of the government to abolish the USC. The USC brings in €5.3 billion a year, and notwithstanding the surplus that we have, a tax package of that size and that nature wouldn't be appropriate, would fuel inflation, and would endanger the public finances into the future. It is important to point out that when the USC was introduced by Brian Lennon a long time ago, it did replace two existing income levies. You'll recall the health levy, which had been around for about 20 years, and the income levy, which had been around for some time. So people often take the view that it was a new tax. it was actually the health levy, the income levy, which had been around for a long time, combined, and then it was increased, and we have reduced it somewhat since then. It is a progressive tax in that those who earn the most pay the most. Those on the lowest incomes are actually exempt. Those on very low incomes, and also, unlike income tax, there's very few ways to avoid it. The various reliefs and tax breaks that apply do not apply to the income tax applied to USC. In terms of the commitments that my party made, that was in 2016, Deputy. That was quite some time ago. We didn't win that election. There's been another election since then. And in the 2020 election, we committed to getting to the point where people didn't have to pay the highest rate of income tax until they earned €50,000 and would only pay the highest rate of income tax on income above €50,000. And we've made a huge amount of progress getting to that point. Up to 40,000 now, and we hope to make further progress in further budgets.
You're probably very lethargic and squeamish. You have several budgets since. You were in government since after the 2016 election, and it is shocking that the disregard you have for ordinary people. But people can see, anybody looking in, can see that you're not interested in ordinary people and ordinary working people. You have no time for them. You have the landed gentry party, big business here now, in a whirlwind, talk about all your taxes. Teacher, I think it's pathetic. You have several budgets in 2016 and made no effort to reduce this punitive tax and to get rid of it. It was a temporary measure. I'm old enough to remember the PMPA scandal, and the temporary measure didn't come in. The people outside are copying onto you, have copied onto you, and they don't need RTE to tell them. They can see themselves in other mediums the truth of what's going on, that you want to literally screw the ordinary people and get into bed with the big shots and big business. The ordinary people make up the vast majority of noble families in this country who want to put to work and put their shoulder to the wheel, educate themselves and house themselves. But you want to punish them and keep them down. You have numerous budgets, you and Fianna Fáil, were supporting your confidence and supply since 16. You have this election programme for government with the Greens and Fianna Fáil, and you have made no effort to honour your election promise, blatant promises. But people see them for what they are, blatant, naked promises to the people to win votes. Well, I think you're out of luck this time. The people have copped on, and they'll let you know what they think.
Thank you, Deputy. Taoiseach, to conclude.
That's an interesting speech, but it's a load of rubbish, quite frankly. Let me tell you what we've done for all people, ordinary and extraordinary, over the past 3 years. We led Ireland through the pandemic, saving thousands of lives and hundreds of thousands of jobs at all levels. We've helped families and businesses with the cost of living, given them unprecedented financial support, particularly small businesses and particularly families who need it most. We've reduced the cost of childcare, we've reduced the cost of healthcare, we've reduced the cost of going to school for everyone, free school books in September, we've reduced the cost of childcare for everyone. We've improved patient outcomes. We now have one of the longest life expectancies in the European Union. We have full employment for only the second time in our history. We've strengthened workers' rights. We're building more social housing than any year since the 1970s. We now have 700 first-time buyers drawing down their mortgage every week. And we've secured an agreement with the British government in relation to Northern Ireland. What on earth have you done in your political career to help anyone, Deputy?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.